Here we are with me continuing the secret of ascendants, with me going with now Libra ascendant. So, with Libra being the ascendant, the main focus point of their life, focal point of their life is relationships. No bullshit, short and simple. The main focus of their life is relationships. These can be very business oriented people. And let me see what else did I put at my notes. Yes, these could be goal oriented people who could be confident, arrogant, and they could be a boss or a self-employment type of person. You see this when you examine all the nakshatras that are within Libra. So first you have Chitra nakshatra, which is a nakshatra that falls between Virgo and Libra, but the deity of it is the celestial architect. And through some mythological books or stories that I've read on the internet in regards to this deity, there was like one point where he had a beef with his boss, aka Indra, the king, the leader of the Devas. And he had a falling out with Indra, or I believe he crafted or created some type of weapon or dragon that was murdered and slayed by Indra. So, I don't know. With Indra being considered the leader, the king of the Devas, and the celestial architect making weapons or crafting things for him, and them clashing, shows that, at least in the side of Chitra, a Libra individual may desire to be their own leader, their own boss. They might not get along with authority. And with the celestial architect being the celestial architect, this is a very skilled craftsman. He can use his skills to be his own fucking leader, to be his own boss and employ himself. And then the yoni animal is a tiger. Female tiger, if my memory serves correctly, but definitely a tiger is associated with Chitra. Tigers are, if the top of my head is correct, they're more vicious or better than lions. Lions, they travel and hunt in groups and packs for the most part, but a tiger, they hunt and do things solo. They're very stealthy and sneaky and calculative and smart. And then I had seen a video comparing the difference between a lion's roar and a tiger's roar. And the tiger's roar sounds way more ferocious, in my opinion, than a goddamn lion. So a tiger is a very fierce animal. Very smart, very fierce. They stay to themselves. They hunt at night or be in the dark. Don't sleep on a damn tiger. Then if you go to the second nakshatra that's in Libra, it's Swati nakshatra, with the yoni animal being a buffalo, a male buffalo, I believe. And the deity with it is Vayu, this god that is this deity that's associated with the element of air. And typically when I read books on Swati Nakshatra, they point out the characteristics of Hanuman to best illustrate the traits of this nakshatra. But when I think about this nakshatra, I think about the literal element of air. And I think about a story that I read in regards to Vayu. Essentially, there was a competition to see which element is the most important. Water, air, fire, and earth. And long story short, air, aka Vayu, won. Because logically, you can go a while without water, without fire, or without, things of this earth. But if you go a minute without air, you'll probably pass out. And then if you go without oxygen for much longer, you'll get like permanent brain damage, and then eventually you die. You're gonna die instantly. Well, not instantly, but it won't be long before you die or pass out if you do not receive oxygen, if you don't receive air. So air is an element that can't necessarily be seen with your eyeballs, but it is the most important one. It's an underestimated one. Air is very important. You know, you breathe even when you work out. Proper breathing techniques is important. Proper breathing when meditating or doing other little exercises or yoga is very emphasized and important. So air is an element that's very important and underestimated. And the same thing could probably be said for Libra and when it's in Swati. The individual can feel underestimated and feel like they need to prove themselves. And then Swati can be associated with like mass communication due to the association of it with air. Air is around the whole damn globe, around the whole earth. When you talk, you're using air, you're spreading things, airborne diseases, or spreading a word, spreading a message out. So Swati is like a nutshell that's good for like mass communications and like spreading something large, far, and wide. So yes, like I said, and the Chitra side, we see that someone could use their skills and to go independent. They might not get along with the boss. In Swati, we see somebody who could be real great at some type of mass communication, and they can feel underestimated and in need to prove themselves, and they can also grow overconfident due to the yoni animal being a buffalo and due to the lore with the Asura known as Mahishasura, a buffalo demon who like made Rish to be invulnerable to any damage of the gods or the male gods, and only to be invulnerable to, you know, any pain that the male gods could dish out. And he was ended up being killed and defeated by a female goddess Durga. And then if you look at his sister Mahini, she made a wish that only a child of Vishnu and Shiva could kill her. Eventually, she is killed when Vishnu incarnates as a woman, and they end up creating a kid, the incarnation that Vishnu took as a woman with Shiva. So these people could grow real overconfident and cocky with their talents and their abilities, and they should be careful to not become humble. Then the final nakshatra that's within Libra is Vishaka, the deity being Androgny, which is like, you know, you break down the word, the name, the first part, Indra, the deity, the king of the Devas, and then you have Agni, the deity that's associated with Kritika Nakshatra, this god, this fire deity, you know. But apparently, you know, with just those two names being made into one, we see that Vishaka Nakshatra is a nakshatra that deals with bringing two things together. It deals with like things being brought together, but more so things coming together to achieve a goal. The yoni animal is also a tiger for Vishaka, and the symbolism is a triumph, is an arc, some type of arc or arch, whatever. And typically, you know, arcs are associated with like, you know, victory or accomplishment or some type of entrance into something. I can't really explain it, but I don't know. If you used to get married and you have the person doing their sermon or ritual as you look your soon-to-be wife in the eyes, they're like on some podium with like maybe some arch over their head. Or they could be like a victory wreath shaped like an arch. Or maybe you're in a race, you cross through the the ribbons and the tags, and as the runners run, they go through maybe like some arch. It's like synonymous with victory, completion, success, or the beginning of something new after you accomplish something. And with androgyny, it's like two things coming together to accomplish that goal. Yes. What else do I have to say? And then you can break down the nakshatra for Shaka even more when you look at the lores associated with the deities Indra and Agni. I would say more so in the Scorpio side, the Vishaka person could be more obsessive. They could be very obsessive and maybe have some type of overindulgence in something. Because Indra and Agni are both very lustful. And I would say in the Libra side, it could be more so of a serious nature. Or maybe they'll just use they'll maybe in the Libra side, we can just see someone just be more hungry, or just more goal oriented and focused towards building connections with people, seeing what they can get out of them to accomplish a goal. Short and simple. And that's the main thing that I have to say off the top of my head when I think about Libra ascendant, at least for like the first house of Libra ascendant. But just to beat my point in even more, these people are just very goal oriented. Their life revolves around building connections with people. And they just be real confident in themselves and in their ability. There's real goal-oriented people. Real goal-oriented, people. That's not even really a phrase, but someone who is real good with dealing with people. A people person. And they're confident. People person. Could be a boss or, employ themselves. Short and simple. They can be very competitive, just like with Vayu in the nakshatra of Swati, when he participated in a competition to see which element was more important or whatever. Moving on to the second house for Libra ascendant. Second house would be Scorpio. Yeah, the second house would be Scorpio. I had to think about that. The second house revolves around your own finances, your own personal finances. The second house revolves around the immediate family that you came from. And the second house deals with like your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your throat. Because the second house deals with sustenance. How do you take care of yourself? How do you feed yourself? In a literal sense, you eat food. It goes in your mouth, goes down your throat. That's how you immediately and instantly feed and take care of yourself. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the moon is debilitated in Scorpio. So what I envision for the Libra ascendant is that these people could be real mentally obsessed or wrapped up or drained when it comes to the family that they come from, and when it comes to dealing with their finances. They could experience a lot of ups and downs with their finances because Scorpio originally comes from the 8th house of, death and transformation and psychological trauma and drama. So with Scorpio in the second house, they could experience that with their family, and they could experience that with their personal finances. Scorpio comes from, the 8th house, which could be a secretive house. It's co-ruled by Ketu, ruled by Mars. Ketu is an invisible planet. It's a Graha, an invisible Graha, Rahu and Ketu. So with that co-ruling shadowy presence of Ketu going over the second house, we could potentially see that you could be real secretive of how you acquire your money and your gains. Maybe same thing with your family. Um, we could also potentially see a tendency to have maybe like a scar or injury to the throat or to the face. You could be likely to get like some type of scar or injury to the face or to the throat due to the eighth. The Scorpio comes from the eighth, and the eighth is associated with like surgery or stuff like that. So Scorpio being in the second house, which contains the eyes, the nose, the mouth, you could be susceptible to maybe injuries or like a scar in that area potentially. What else do I have to say? Yeah, that's short and simple. A lot of ups and downs or great changes or mental turmoil over your finances and the family that you come from. Then you have the third house, which is Sagittarius. The third house is associated with younger siblings. The youngest siblings, or just siblings in general, friends, communication, specifically written communication, short distance travel, your neighborhood, your immediate, your environment you grow up in, and writing, skills with hands, nervous system. And Sagittarius originally comes from the ninth house of teaching and father's teaching and faith and belief and long distance travel. We could say that with the Libra ascendant person, your siblings could be very intelligent, real knowledgeable, real wise. If you have siblings, you could go to them for a lot of knowledge and insight before maybe you make some type of move. Your communication through writing or through maybe delivering a message through media like YouTube and TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, the way that you could communicate and express your knowledge could be in maybe like some real mature and maybe esoteric way. Who knows? What you could do with Sagittarius in the third house is that maybe you could spread a lot of your own teachings and beliefs and philosophies through book and media. There could have been maybe you could really travel a lot in search of knowledge. There could be maybe, yeah, you could travel a lot in search of knowledge, in search of books. A connection with just education and teaching could just be seen with the third house, and it is expressed potentially between maybe you frequently frequent some library or some educational institution, some knowledgeable institution in your immediate environment. Who knows exactly how this Sagittarius in the third house could manifest itself or play out, but we could just sort and simply say a lot of your knowledge and information could probably come from like social media. A lot of your knowledge and information and guidance can come from your siblings. Maybe you don't meet somebody in person that drops knowledge and gems on you, but maybe you find someone who drops knowledge and gems through you following somebody on Instagram. You have like some teacher, someone you consider a teacher, but you never met. Who knows how it can manifest? Then we got the fourth house. The fourth house would be Capricorn. Make sure I ain't tripping. Yes, the fourth house would be Capricorn. The fourth house is associated with indoor dwellings, things that remind you and are similar to like being in the womb and comfort and security of your mother's womb. Typically indoor dwellings like a home and your car. And the fourth house can give you maybe insight and clarity on like the type of relationship you might have with your mother or mother figure. So with Capricorn being here, Capricorn originally ruled by Saturn. Saturn we associated with chronic things, long things, old things, things associated with time. We could say that maybe your household, your household with your mother, or just even your own personal house, so you have your own spot, it could be very orderly. It could be very disciplined. It could be your mother figure could be very goal oriented and professional, and depending on or work life could be brought home, and with your mother, or when you just get your own spot, like you might have a home office. You may bring the work life into the home life, and depending on how your chart is, maybe that could cause a lot of disruptions within the household. But we could just see maybe almost maybe like a Joe Jackson in the house as a mother, someone who just real hard and professional and orderly and disciplined within the house, and wants that from you, and you could probably be the same way when you get your own spot. Or like the mother or within the household could really just be, really pushing you hard career wise or academic wise, just pushing you, and just home is not a home. Home is a place of work, maybe. Who knows? That's my interpretation with the Capricorn and the fourth house. Then your fifth house is Aquarius. With Aquarius in the fifth house, well, the fifth house is associated with children. The fifth house is associated with learning. It's associated with learning, and it's associated with children. Children and subordinates and employees, they're not number one. They're not the head honcho. They're not the boss. So they need still someone over top of them to get knowledge. They're not necessarily in the stage of teaching. Their mind and soul is like sponges, so it absorbs. And Saturn, of course, is associated with Aquarius, and Rahu co-rules Aquarius. And Aquarius originally comes from the 11th house of large social network circles, organizations, and gains. We could say that maybe, what could I say about the children? The children could be, you could have potentially an estranged relationship with the children due to that co-ruling effect or association of Rahu, and Rahu is this invisible Graha. Rahu is associated with things in regard to the future. It's very forward thinking, which further supports and illustrates the forward thinkingness, mad scientist stereotypes of Aquarius. We could say that with Aquarius here, that your children, or one of them, you might like have a kid with somebody outside of your race. You could have maybe a kid born in like a foreign land, maybe. You might have a difficult karma or relationship with the eldest sibling. Since Aquarius comes from the 11th house, and the 11th house is associated with the eldest sibling, to be specific, there might be some type of relationship with the eldest sibling that is different from the other kids. If you don't have any, if you have any after your first one. What else could you say with Aquarius in the 11th house? You could maybe want to, I'm not really too sure. I can't really think of too many things off the top of my head, and I didn't really take many notes for this house when it came to Aquarius in the 5th house, so I won't lie to you. I won't bullshit you or just come up with shit if I don't know shit. If I don't know shit, then fuck it. I'm stuck for real. I'm fucking stuck. So I just say the things I just think I'm confident in. Like I said, you can have an odd or a strange relationship with the children. They could be specifically with the eldest sibling. You could have a kid with someone outside of your race. And you could wish to express your skills and your gifts. Better yet, you would involve the children in like large gatherings and large social network circles and organizations and games. You would maybe really want to have the children involved in groups. Really get them involved in some social experience or whatever and shit. Like, you might not want the kids to just stay in the goddamn house all day. Like, so no, summer is here. You're gonna go to the summer camp, or you're gonna do something. You probably would have to want the kids stay involved, doing something, involving themselves with other people. That is my theory with Aquarius in the 5th house for this. Then we go to the 6th house. The 6th house would be Pisces. Pisces in the 6th house. 6th house deals with day-to-day routine things. The 6th house deals with small pets, animals, diseases, servants, slaves, debts, the karma, actions, and karma that we must face and deal with in this lifetime. Debts, all that good stuff. Pisces originally comes from the 12th house of isolation, laws, jail, hospitals, land outside of your state or country. Yes. So with Pisces being here, we could see almost like it's interesting. It's an interesting placement, because you see in this house, Mercury would be debilitated in the sign of Pisces in the 6th house. It would be debilitated. So the Libra ascendant individual's knowledge and intelligence when it comes to tackling the day-to-day things like debts and bills and their health, and when it comes to dealing with their health, their debts, their bills, their day-to-day routine things, they can be very neglectful, potentially. They can be very neglectful to their responsibilities, potentially. And Pisces is associated with the foot. I don't want to say they have foot injuries, because the 6th house is associated specifically with the stomach or intestines. You could, like I said, you could just be maybe neglectful to your health, with Libra being the ascendant with Pisces and in the 6th house. Neglectful with your spending, neglectful with your bills, and neglectful with your health. Health, bills, spending. 6th house is associated with pets. So maybe there could be some type of karma associated with maybe like the losing of a pet. Yes, a losing of a pet could make some type of karma with losing a pet, whether you actually lose it or it's lost through death, could be prominent. Loss of appetites, weird eating habits could be potentially prominent with this, which makes sense with Scorpio being in the 2nd house with the throat, and then you have Pisces being in the 6th house dealing with the intestines. So when it comes to what you eat, there could be just great turmoil with your eating, great turmoil and transformations with your health. That's what I see with the 6th house. There could just be unconventional means and ways and methods that the Libra ascendant individual may go about tackling their issues. A good stereotypical example could be like someone who's like real spiritual. From my fucked up, biased perspective, some spiritual women, like women who do not have And I say women because I have more examples of seeing women be real into tarot and astrology and healing crystals than men. But from my perspective of those type of women, when they're really into that stuff, they might not have no 9-to-5 job. They prefer to work for themselves, or a job that is maybe freeing and cool and relaxing and not so restrictive and confining. But typically little jobs like that, they don't really pay well. You'll be like a super grown ass person and you still are really struggling. You don't have no kids, you don't have a car, you didn't go to school, you just rather just live in your own little world where I guess you're free from financial burdens, but you're still sort of burdened in a way. And because you're maybe at a certain age and you don't have the certain things that other people have or would expect you to have together at your big age, you sort of become outcast. Like, you're going to struggle regardless of what you do in this life, but in some instances, some of the real people who dive deeply into their practice, they really be struggling financially. Them just solely doing tarot and astrology does not cover the bills enough. But they feel so strongly called or feel too prideful to want to work a regular 9-to-5 job. And their abstract way of navigating through life could cause them to experience a lot of financial loss, to maybe end up neglecting their health because they might not have insurance. They might not be able to properly go about getting themselves routinely checked up on or take care of a pet or animal. So that's like a good example, an extreme example of Pisces in the 6th house. Then you have the 7th house, which is Aries, because with Libra being your ascendant, everything's reversed. With Aries being in the 7th house, Aries comes from the 1st house. The 1st house is like your body, or specifically your forehead and your overall health. So with Aries being in the 7th house, we see that the mind, the head, yet again, is focused on relationships. And we see that for the Libra ascendant individual with Aries in the 7th house, they could probably naturally attract a partner that could be the opposite of what they are. The Libra ascendant person, they could be, a people, I'm not going to say a people pleaser, but a people's person, real good with talking and interacting and dealing with people. The Aries person your partner, your spouse will illustrate the Aries traits, which could be impulsiveness, competitiveness, a strong-minded, bull-headed person who is very alpha, like is very impulsive, so can be very selfish, real independent, and real strong-minded. That, in a general sense, could be the type of person that the Libra ascendant person could attract. One person, the Libra ascendant, who could be thinking about other people, thinking about doing business with other people, good at working and negotiating with other people. And then the Aries spouse in the 7th house could just be thinking about themselves, could feel entitled and spoiled, and they're not really maybe thinking about the welfare of a partner. They could be thinking about the welfare of themselves. So that could be sort of, in a general sense, the type of person a Libra ascendant person could deal with. A strong-minded, competitive, independent, alpha person who could potentially be selfish and just think about and prioritize themselves and not the other person. Or they might not be thinking about the long game and vision. They could just be thinking about the immediate short gains. What solves and takes care of them and themselves and their problems in the here and now. Especially with Sun being exalted in this sign or house, there's a real strong-minded person who might not be used to being committed in a partnership and sticking around and dealing with someone or something Then we go to the 8th house, which would be Taurus. 8th house is associated with, sexual organs, the spouse's wealth, the in-laws, occult, secrecy, death, transformation, surgeries maybe. And now you have Taurus here. Taurus coming from the 2nd house of wealth and your personal wealth, your family. Moon is exalted in this house, which could show that your mind and emotions could be you could be really vested in making sure that your spouse's finances are right. That maybe your spouse and his family come from a decent, well-off background. You could just be real invested in the finances of your partner of your partner. Short and simple. Your partner, or through your partner, either you or them maybe could make money through secretive ways, secretive gains, secretive financial ways or gains, or taboo occult ways is how your spouse could attain wealth. What else could I say of this? But yes, or maybe you yourself, aside from the money, with just Moon naturally being exalted in this sign, if it was in the 8th house, you could just feel real comfortable or favor the spouse's family. You could have maybe a good relationship being with your in-laws versus being with your family. Because like I said, with everything reversed, Scorpio is in the 2nd. So that trauma is in your finances. Your money could be fucked up, and your relationship with your family could be real turbulent. But you get with your partner, their money is fine. So because your money, your credit score is fucked up, you want to make sure that theirs don't be the same. Don't be fucked up like yours. And you can be real grateful to have a cool relationship with the in-laws and your spouse's family that is not like your family that you came from. So then we go to the 9th house, which is Gemini. 9th house is the teachers, the father and the father figure, long distance travel and stuff. And Gemini comes from the 3rd house of siblings and writing and skills with hands and all that good stuff. Gemini deals with duplicity, since the symbolism is the twins and all that good stuff. So its ruling planet is Mercury, a fast moving planet. We could see multiple teachers. You could have multiple teachers, multiple gurus, multiple people who you look up to for information. You could have a teacher who refers you to another teacher to further your education or something. Most of the people that you look up to for knowledge and information, they could be very young. Your teachers could be very young. I don't know, yes. You could just have multiple prominent teachers, or like I said, you could be referred to one teacher or somebody from someone else that you look up to. And they could probably speak fast, communicate fast, and they could maybe have young features or just be just young and youthful in a general sense. That's all I can think of with Gemini in a general sense being placed in the ninth house. Yes, your knowledge and information, social knowledge, will come from multiple sources. You might not be too dogmatic and rigid when it comes to belief systems and views on things, which makes sense if you're a Libra ascendant and you're a person who is, all about your life revolves around relationships. You sort of got to know how to dance and tango. If you adopt a strong view or belief on something, everyone's not going to agree with you. But if you're sort of, I don't know, in the middle or very open and just listen to everyone's views and perspectives, you'll gain a lot of knowledge and information, be well rounded. You won't be closed off, and you won't really offend too many people because you're sort of dancing in the middle. So, ninth house Gemini could sort of illustrate an eternal student. Whoever gives you knowledge, or your father or father figure may bestow to you knowledge and wisdom, they themselves might not be somebody who is very rigid in their views and belief systems. They could be very open maybe, or a little bit all over the place maybe with how they think or feel and how they teach, who knows. Then you have the 10th house, which is Cancer. 10th house can show you maybe the relationship with the father. It shows you your career, type of job you might do, short and simple. Cancer comes from the 4th house. The relationship with the mother figure, feeling nice and nurtured and secured. The Libra ascendant person could probably feel real nurtured and comfortable and balanced when they're in a profession, when they're in a work environment, or maybe their desired profession and work environment. I feel as though for the Libra ascendant person, they want to make an emotional connection or familiarity that feels similar to home in their work environment. They need to have maybe an emotional familiarity or attachment in their work environment. They need to make a connection with someone or something within their work environment for them to function well. It's almost like sorry to be vulgar, but these are relatable examples that I'm pretty sure most people can relate to. It's like having sex with somebody and you don't feel nothing for them. The sex could be okay, it could be good, it could be great, it could be bad. But let's say that it's good, but despite it being good, you just don't feel nothing for that person. So even though it's good, it's not crazy, stupid, amazing, because you don't feel nothing for them. There's no emotional connection between you and that person. So it doesn't matter what they do for you, buy candy and flowers and do all these things. It's not giving you what you want. Your job needs to be giving you that feeling that you want, So once you have that feeling, you perform well in your work environment. Or you just feel, and then once you feel well in your work environment, yeah, you just want to feel good in your work environment. You feel nurtured or want to nurture and take care of others within your field, maybe. If you want to be a good boss or business person, then you need to make sure that, you get familiar with your workers and get familiar with your employees and make the job almost feel like home. Make it a nice environment. That's how you would want your career to be, your job to be, and maybe the people who work for underneath you to feel. Then we jump to the 11th house, which would be, why am I freezing? The 11th house would be Cancer. No, Leo in the 11th house. 11th house is large social network circles, organizations, and gains. The 11th house could represent the eldest sibling. And yes, with Leo here, Leo, as I said in my secret of Leo ascendants, is that naturally they want to be leaders and bosses. So with the leader or the person who desires to sit in a high position of power or is surrounded with people in a high position of power, they could you could be probably real diplomatic and desire to be the head and foremost person of your networks and organizations and groups, or your network circle or organizations, people within that you network with or close with, could be people in high positions of power. Yeah, you be connected to people in good high positions of power, since Sun rules Leo. Sun is, an individual graha, significant of government and father figure, a powerful individual. Your network circle could be filled with people like that. Or you could be desiring to be the head motherfucker within these type of networks and organizations and groups. And then, if you want to get real deep and nuanced, it just depends on your chart. That could build resentment, because wherever sun is at, it sort of burns, or it burns and damages. It's like a malefic benefic planet, or Graha. I think the sun is more malefic than benefic. It sort of burns and torches and stains that house that it's in. So you could rise and be the leader, but you also may create enemies. Yeah, you might also create enemies or whatever and shit. I'm trying to see something. Yes, 6 places from the 6th house is the 11th house. The 6th house is, debts and slaves and enemies or whatever, obstacles. 6 places from the 6th house is the 11th. 6 places from a house will show you the 6th house qualities of that house. So the higher the higher version of the 6th house is the 11th house. So it's like with the sun being, well, it's not sun, but the sign that's ruled by sun is in the 11th house. Your enemies may be these people. Your enemies could be revealed out in the open. Your enemies could be these powerful figures. Or you will create enemies who could be jealous of you because of the high position of power that you have ascended to, with Leo being in the 11th house. Yes, your network circle could be filled with, it could be filled with, because the Leo desires to be the boss, and to be the boss, you gotta have subordinates underneath you. Not necessarily children, just because Leo was there, but I'm done talking about the 11th house. I'm getting real deep, thinking about all the things that can happen with Leo in the 11th. So I'm going to wrap this up with the 12th house. 12th house is Virgo. 12th house is hospitals, isolation, jail, another country, foreign things, hidden things, all that good stuff. Virgo originally comes from the 6th house of death, diseases, small pets and animals, obstacles of the day-to-day things in the world. Maybe with Virgo being in the 12th house, according to my notes, if I'm looking at my notes and talking off the top of my head, the Libra ascendant person can deal with illnesses and sickness, and illnesses and sickness could be prominent when they fly out the country or reside in another state. They could desire to be of service and do business overseas, or support some type of cause for people related to jail or with hospitals or some type of care in another land, in another state. Because Virgo, coming from the 6th house of servants and slaves, the Virgo sort of wants to, and almost in a sense, make things better. They feel real confident and cocky in their skills and abilities, and they want to, in a sense, be of service to people. They don't necessarily want to be a leader, but they maybe want to just be of service to people. I can almost see like a non-profit organization. Virgo comes from the house of debt. And then the 12th house is a house of loss. So it's almost like working without making gains. So we can see foreign non-profit organizations potentially come out of the 12th house with Virgo in the 12th house for Libra ascendant them. Yes. For the Libra ascendant, you could experience losses of wealth in ventures explored outside of the country or where you was born. You could be susceptible to getting sick or diseases maybe when you maybe reside or do business or whatever outside of the country that you was born, or go out of state depending on how your chart is. And you could maybe want to have some cause, do some type of cause to help some type of organization. That's what I can see or think of when I think of the 12th house of Virgo. The 12th house is feet. Maybe you're susceptible to having afflictions to your foot. Yeah. That is my observation and analysis of Libra ascendant and what could happen if you are a Libra ascendant individual. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope that it gave you some insight and clarity on the multiple things that can happen if you are a Libra ascendant person yourself. And I'll see you next time I make another video.